It takes a graveyard to raise a child. That's what Neil Gaiman says in the Graveyard Book. And yes, sometimes family ties can be found in the most unlikely of places, and father figures can be found in the most unlikely of souls. In this lovely book, which is poignant, a little scary, we find that fathers are very, very special, and especially in Silas in this particular novel. Welcome to the Bookbibuli podcast. Nobody Owens, known to his friends as Bod, is a perfectly normal boy. Well, he would be perfectly normal if he didn't live in a graveyard, being raised and educated by ghosts, with a solitary guardian who belongs to neither the world of the living nor the world of the dead. There are dangers and adventures for Bod in the graveyard, the strange and terrible menace, a gravestone entrance to a desert that leads to the city of ghouls, friendship with a witch, and so much more. But it is in the land of the living that real danger lurks. A deliciously dark masterwork by best-selling author Neil Gaiman. And to discuss it, we have Nelwina. Hello, Nelwina.
Hi everyone, hi bookish friends. My name is Nelwina Suzanne Jinu from the Instagram page To All Readers, and I am honored to be here today on this podcast to talk about a simply amazing book, The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman.
Like Gaiman said, it takes an entire graveyard to raise a child. How do you think your life would have changed if you were raised by ghosts and other supernatural beings like Bod? And honestly, I mean no disrespect to your parents.
For starters, I would probably not have any friends, and all the friends I know are such amazing and supportive people, and it would be so horrible and such a missed experience if I never met them. A very sad thing about nobody Owens' life is that he didn't really have any alive friends his age, only dead ghosts in the graveyard. And when he did get a living friend, Scarlet, she becomes afraid of him later on and sadly abandons him. But pushing the melancholy aside temporarily, there would be amazingly great things too. I would eagerly join the graveyard ghosts to meet Mr. and Mrs. Owens, Bob's adopted parents, because they seem very sweet and friendly. I would also love to meet Silas, as he's an amazing mentor to Bod, and I would love to know what he has learned. I would also be incredibly interested in attaining the powers of the dead, like feeding and haunting, and of course, getting the freedom of the graveyard that was gifted to Bod to let him travel everywhere in the graveyard and see ghosts. Ooh, just imagine the opportunities.
My God, you make it sound super fun. Let's talk of lessons, which are not so fun. What lessons do you think Bod learns throughout the story? And how do they relate to your own journey growing up?
In my opinion, the most important lesson Bod learns throughout the book is identity. Bod really struggles to grasp where his identity lies, in the land of the dead or of the living. In the end, he realizes that he's a part of both. In a symbolic way, I can relate to that. For a long time, I always wondered where do I fit in, the smart group, the cool group, the nerds, etc. And I was thinking, what label should I associate myself with? What category should I classify myself into? But then now I realize that I'm a little bit of everything and I don't need a label to define myself. I have a lot of friends who I trust, and that's enough. I don't need a category to classify myself into. Another important life lesson is that you can trust your friends like Bod trusted his ghost friends, and I feel that deeply too.
What a profound thought. Yes, you don't need a category to define yourself. You are unique. Now tell me, unique Nelvina, if you could visit the graveyard described in the book, what would you want to explore or discover there?
Okay, this is a really difficult question. I would love to explore every single place in the graveyard, but for the sake of this, let's narrow it down to two. One, I would love to explore the door in the hill with Sleer, as creepy as it sounds, because I'm a very inquisitive person and I am really curious about exactly what they mean through Sleer, because the description in the books were very vague, and also find everything out about it. The place number two would probably be the Potter's Field, because I would love to meet Lisa Hemstock and find about the life stories and the feelings of all those buried there. I mean, were they condemned unjustly? Are there more witches, etc., etc.?
We hope you've been having a wonderful time with us and you have been able to explore the various programs we've got on Bookbibuli, especially the North Star program. What do you think about that?
Certainly, the North Star reading program excels in its multifaceted approach to literacy, combining engaging events, insightful podcasts, and well curated blogs to foster a rich reading culture. Its events, ranging from author meet and greets to interactive workshops, provide participants with immersive literary experiences. The program's podcasts offer thoughtful discussions and interviews with writers, educators, and literary enthusiasts, making it easy for readers to stay connected with the literary world on the go. Complementing these are the blogs, which feature diverse content such as book reviews, reading tips, and thematic explorations, catering to various interests and age groups. This holistic blend of activities not only promotes reading but also builds a dynamic community of readers.
Thank you so much for your endorsement. We are touched. Back to the book. How did the graveyard book make you think differently about the concept of home and belonging?
Before, I actually used to think that home meant one place, a house or a country. But after reading it, I realized a home isn't a place or a particular place you have to go to or a country you have to stay in. It's a place where your friends and loved ones are, regardless of where it is. Look at Bard. He lives in a graveyard for heaven's sake. Yet he calls it a home because his friends and family beside them.
As they say, home is where the heart is. But there are aspects of Neil Gaiman's writing style or storytelling which are really enjoyable. Which were the most enjoyable ones for you?
To be honest, I absolutely loved the dark and mysterious tone of this book. I also love Bod's mysterious backstory and the sadness in the book because they added beautifully to the tale and added amazing moral lessons and a hard dose of reality to the book.
The end is always so important. So the ending of Graveyard Book, it leaves you feeling, how does it make you feel?
The ending left me wondering what would happen to Bod after he sets out of the graveyard into the real world. And I was totally checking for a sequel. I really want a sequel to this book, honestly, to see exactly what happens to Bod on his journeys. And also, I especially want to see whether he'll make any new friends, meet new people. I think actually, after leaving the graveyard, Bod will become even more self reliant and he will become an important role in society because of his calm demeanor. Additionally, I also think that Bod will have a few more adventures, which I think will be necessary to calm his ruthless streak that comes out when he attempts to escape from the jacks of all trades in the book.
Oh, yes, I do hope he writes a sequel and a book on Silas as well. But all things considered, I think both of us have really liked this book. Would you be recommending this to your friends?
Doubtless I would. I would definitely recommend this book. In fact, I've already recommended it to my book bestie because it was an amazing read and the ending especially and the experience of reading it left me floating around for some time, comprehending what what just happened? That twist, the amazing story, that plot, that person. I also loved Nobody Owens as a character, and the book was also incredibly well written.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I loved being here.
Neil Gaiman masterfully blends sweet and creepy elements. What a dichotomy, with a bittersweet ending, crafting a unique and unforgettable story that appeals to both children and adults. Narrated through a series of episodes from Bod's extraordinary life, the story strikes a perfect balance, avoiding excessive sweetness or morbidity. Gaiman's tale seamlessly combines whimsy, sadness, suspense, adventure, and keeping the readers captivated from start to finish. Bod said, I want to see life. I want to hold it in my hands. I want to leave a footprint on the sand of a desert island. I want to play football with people. I want, he said. And then he paused and he thought, I want everything. Bod is an ideal character for a children's story. He's smart and resourceful, quiet and observant, loyal and brave, a bit mischievous, and ultimately very lifelike. And now it's time for Bookbibuli Read Reco. For this particular book, just because it has a slightly morbid theme, we would like to advise children from ages 10 and above. It is wonderfully creepy, mesmerizing, and melancholic, with prose to die for. Each chapter reads like a short story, recounting an adventure. That Bod is an ideal character, like I said, for a children's story. Smart, resourceful, and the like. And ultimately, he's very, very lifelike. The books leading to this one are The Zodiac Legacy, One Good Dragon, and A Shadow Bright and Burning. And the obvious successor is Coraline by Neil Gaiman. To end this, remember that it takes a graveyard to raise a child. Until next week, better read, read better.